Welcome back to Funky Politics, the hardest hitting political show on the planet. Hey, that's right. This is DC, host of Funky Politics. And guess what? Welcome to Kudzukian Week. That's right, folks. It's Kudzukian Week all week long. We've got a suite of shows, man, that we're going to be putting on just a special deal for our listeners and our viewers out there, because Kudzukian loves all of our folks, right? It's going to be a special week of entertainment and information. I mean, we got 3BC, we got Sell or Fail, we got Grindset, we got Art on Sports. You know, we've got it all. We even are going to be hosting the city council in your neighborhood, special town hall meeting, Chairwoman Patrice Robinson, and also Councilwoman Cheyenne Johnson. So you got to stick around the entire week, folks. It's going to be some special stuff going on. I wouldn't lie to you. I would, but I ain't going to do it now. I ain't going to do it today. But getting into news. Oh, man, what a difference. I always say this on the program. What a difference a day makes. What a difference a week makes. What a difference a year has made. Man, 2020 has just been, I don't know. I mean, can we hit reset on this? I mean, not on the show, but can we hit reset on 2020? It has really brought some tragedy. It's brought a lot of hurt, and we just lost one of our jurists on the Supreme Court. That is Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Justice Ginsburg. She passed away Friday evening at her home in Washington, D.C., and, God rest her soul. She died right before Rosh Hashanah began. Rosh Hashanah is in the Jewish culture, it's considered the hit of the year, a point of reflection and repentance. And so I would say this, as they say in their culture, she certainly was a person of great righteousness. So rest deserved to the one and only Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. There we go, right there. Also, speaking of Ruth Bader Ginsburg passing away, the Senate's already teed up. The Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell of Kentucky has already keyed up and said that he is going to put forth on the floor of the full Senate anyone that the president deems necessary, deems appropriate to replace Justice Ginsburg. So stick around. I believe there's going to be a little bit of a fight. I'm not so sure it's going to play out the way a lot of people probably expected to on the Republican side. I think you've got some senators who are going to really need some independent voters and some swing voters who are really going to say, not too fast. There was once a time when we said we'd hold on, and I don't even want to talk about those days, but it wasn't too long ago where there was a one Merrick Garland who was not voted on for about 9 months because there was an election coming up that year. But anyway, more about that later on another show. But I tell you, on today's show, I've got the one and only Commissioner Bennie Smith. I mean, he's my guest this evening. What more can I say? But this gentleman owns an IT firm called SmartSoft. He's an analytics person. He is one of the smartest men I know around in politics. He sits on the Shelby County Board of Election Commission, and he's been on there since 2019. I can see this brother being on this board and he's a strong African-American brother who is for his community. He's for what's right. He's for what we call transparency in our election system, right? So I'll tell you what, don't go anywhere. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back with more of Funky Politics and my very special guest, Mr. Commissioner, His Honor, Bennie Smith, right here on Funky Politics, folks.
Hey, Black Nerd Power fans, it's Marcus Seabury, and we've got more great shows coming your way, so stay tuned.
Because I'm also just really excited about how this has opened up to a wider community of gamers.
Throughout the rest of the game, you see how the spot has kind of grown. And I just want to let you guys know that we've got a bunch of brand new great episodes coming up.
So when they went out of town, I knew that shit was over. And it wasn't even his brother. It was when they wasn't lined up about the...
That is the new Ford Bronco.
Hey, that shit's nice.
If you need some great podcasts to listen to, check out the Kudzukian app. You won't be disappointed. More shows coming your way, so please hit the notification button below so when our episodes drop, you'll be the first to know.
Like it is. Hey, we are back. As I promised you, we're back here on Funky Politics with my very special guest, Commissioner Bennie Smith, man. Hey, long time, Doc.
Always.
It's always good to have you on Funky Politics.
Shaking.
Yeah, no,
right.
yeah. We got a little bit of this social distancing right here.
Family, it's fine.
Amongst family right here on Funky Politics, man. I want to get into this thing before we talk about Well, now, before I want to talk about you a little bit, man. You're not new to this thing. You've been around a long time. Before going on the election commission, you were doing analytics, man, for some major companies around not only in Memphis but around the country. Give us a little bit of your background, then we're going to talk about some local stuff right quick.
Okay. Yeah, I got a lot of skin in the game. Some of the companies that I work for, doing large application development, financial modeling, analytics, ABB, Thomas and Betts. They make everything behind the wall electrical, and ABB is the company that makes these robot arms that you see like assembling cars. So they are a high voltage and also low voltage electrical manufacturing and engineering company. I recently did a stint at FedEx, where I did a lot of.
I remember when you went out there. I mean, it was a few years ago. I remember you went out there.
Yeah. So I did a stint at FedEx. It was just kind of like just being from Memphis. It was kind of a dream to kind of work there. So I went to see if I could compete at that level. I did pretty good.
You competed, I'm sure, Doc. Hey, look, ain't nobody gonna say Bennie Smith can't compete anywhere in our city at any company.
No,
man.
I did a lot of good stuff at FedEx Express, and then I had already had SmartSoft going, and it kind of took off in a way where I could take that plunge and go off on my own and do some things.
So you're a small business owner. So and before we get, and I want to stay local right now in this part of the conversation. But I mean, as a small business owner, a Black man in Memphis, Tennessee, in the U.S. of A, COVID-19. How did that affect your business in terms of SmartSoft and how you were able to move around and be able to handle your customers?
So I was fortunate. I am fortunate because what I do is on the computer anyway.
Yeah.
I got, I'm a technologist. So most of what I did, I can do from home. I technically got about 4 laptops and 2 servers, and they power most of what I developed. So, traveling, I was going to Los Angeles a lot.
Whoa.
So that definitely halted. And I had to, we switched to Microsoft Teams and Zoom, and I think there's another one that people use a lot now. So I've been fortunate that did not impact me because what I did was on the computer anyway. So
in this technical space, I think that we're all in right now, this huge, working virtually helps you, but then there's so many folks we have in our communities, man. I'm going to talk in this funky politics, so we're going to get funky on this thing here. Yeah. We got people in our community, not only in Memphis, but in Atlanta's, in the Birminghams, and the Chicago's, who are not fortunate to work from home. And so I can't virtually make a hamburger. I can't virtually make up a bed. I can't virtually take care of your grandmother or your mother, your father, who were in a nursing home. I mean, what does that say about our society, Doc, where our wages are so low that you are considered essential because there's nobody else there to do it?
It's an extreme drag on the economy. And it really has shown us the underbelly of society. When the people who keep the system going are the people who are paid the least and therefore have to assume the most risk with the least amount of benefits to support them when they do it.
And let's talk about some of those folks and the work that you do, not with SmartSoft, your firm, but also with the Shelby County Election Commission. Some of those folks had to go work the elections we just recently had, and let's call it what it is. They're not paid $30 or $40 an hour, and they had a lot more on them this time because now you got the social distancing in, you've got the continuing of hand washing and throwing away pens. So I know there was an additional piece of resources that had to be kind of brought together, but you all have got staff that works for Shelby County government that actually are not. I mean, they're paid what we would consider a decent wage, but let's not joke ourselves. $15 is still not living wage in our communities.
Right. And now you have those people that are the frontline workers. And the reason why they do that is, some civic responsibility, but it's also extra income too.
Sure.
And the majority of the risk pool is the number of people, the people who are normally running those elections and volunteering and working the election for pay, they're in the high risk category. So not only are they constrained in the regular sense of the economy, they're now at risk of the extra income, and at some point you just have to make a decision to say it's not worth my life. So we're experiencing a drop in the number of people who are willing to participate, because it's probably not smart for them to. So
and then a lot of, and I used to, man, back in the day when O.C. Pleasant was the chairman. Yeah, he was the chairman of the commission, and Bobby White was down there, man. You had a bunch of great folks down there. Shout out to them. And I know you guys got a bunch of great folks down there now. But, you know, the election commission has for years has had people working those polls, but now I don't think I've ever heard of this major mail-in absentee piece that we're talking about as it was. And I think that's what we really need to clear that up about mail-in ballots and absentee ballots. And I think people need to know what that is. But before I go there, I want to throw out this thing about Shelby County, because at one point, Shelby County was run by Republicans. I mean, every seat, locally, that's right, 94 to about 2000-ish, most all seats were elected Republicans, but now there's been this major shift where I think it was about 18 is when you really got the entire thing going. Now you have all Republicans, you have all Democrats. What was the shift? What was the shift like?
So there are a lot of Shelby County is an interesting mix, because there's been a lot of voter suppression. There have been a lot of gamesmanship. The way I choose to explain it, I want to choose my words. It's a contest. So you have parties who are trying to win elected seats. You have opponents who are not incumbents. So, you know, the nature of society was geared where the large population of Shelby County is black. We're probably 50% black, in Memphis being the seat of Shelby County.
Sure.
So those weren't elected seats for us. So the power structures were set up in a way that made it harder for us to participate in the process. And if you look at the current laws on the books now, there are some draconian laws that technically is what we are trying to grapple with now that mail-in ballots is something that technology has caught up with, where you can do it and you can track it and you can automate certain processes and you can audit some of the processes, but the laws haven't caught up with that. And I'll give you an example. So just for the public, this is a PSA.
Folks.
If you want to, if you don't ask me for a form to fill out the request to vote by absentee, if you don't ask me and I say, hey man, I think you should vote absentee, you seem like you're in the high risk category. Here's a form. I just committed a misdemeanor by doing that.
Whoa.
I just committed a misdemeanor by doing that.
By offering me the form, and you being an employee.
Well, I'm an employee, but a regular person.
A regular person. This is now.
Yeah, this is a misdemeanor. But now, if you ask me, if you say, hey, I want to vote by absentee, you know what a form is? And I say, yeah, let me go get it for you. And I give you that form. Now I just committed a felony. So to recap, the more you try to participate in this process, the more punitive it becomes. And that's under challenge in the courts now. And it's not, the current group of leadership that has it. This has been on the books. They've probably been there 100 years, right?
Let me make sure that we're not giving out, that I'm listening correctly.
Yeah, you're listening
and I'm processing this thing. Yeah. If I ask you, Joe Smith, hey man, can you get me an absentee ballot request form?
Yeah, the request form.
Can you get me that so I can request from the Shelby County Board of Election Commission an absentee ballot? That's a misdemeanor.
That's a felony. If you ask me, if I give it to you and you didn't ask me, then it's a misdemeanor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, both of them are ridiculous. Yeah, there's no.
So let's break down for those folks who really want to know the intricacies of politics in our state. Now, the Shelby County Election Commission is Shelby County, but you are governed by state statute. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep.
So kind of explain that mechanism, because when we want to complain, we want to go to the county mayor that says that Bennie Smith and those guys on the Shelby County Election Commission aren't doing their damn jobs, and they need to do their damn jobs. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, you talk to the wrong people if you do that.
Wow.
So we're kind of de facto employees of the state. We are appointed. There are 13 Democrat House members.
Mhm.
There are some House, some Senate.
Yeah.
And there are 5 Republicans. And it is a mix of House and Senate that make up Shelby County. So that 13-member body appointed me to the election commission. So if you have a problem with the way I'm representing, you would have to go to those people, or you would have to go to the state election commission, which is another governing body.
Sure.
That has one of our state election commissioner in Shelby County is Greg Duckett. So he is serving at the state level. I see this all the time because when I was in the fight for hand-marked paper ballots, which we're not going to talk about today, but a lot of the news media was saying, well, the administrator's boss is Lee Harris.
Yeah, that's not true.
No, I'm her boss. There are 5 of us. Wow. There is a governing body of 5 appointed commissioners that are the oversight body for the election commission. So if there's a problem with the administrator, that should be taken up with the election commissioners. If there's a problem with the election commissioners, that should be taken up with the legislatures or the state election commission.
So there was no intent to make this thing easy for just me. I'm just a regular Joe Blow citizen who wants to affect policy, but I want to affect policy from a standpoint of, I don't think that Commissioner Bennie Smith and Commissioner John Toole and Commissioner Jane Sullivan, I don't think they're doing their jobs. And I want to take it to the county commission to complain about you guys. But that's the wrong body is what you're telling me.
Yeah, it's the wrong body. Unless it's a matter of funding.
But now you're funded by Shelby County.
Yeah, funded by Shelby County.
With match from the state or just from Shelby County?
Shelby County. As far as I know, it's just Shelby County funded.
Wow, amazing. But we have no say, basically.
Yeah, no say. Not through those avenues. If you go to the county commission, so I wrote an op-ed in the Commercial Appeal last year when I was talking about the purchase of the voting machines. Obviously, I'm a national election security specialist, so I'm pretty versed in the subject.
So you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm pretty versed in the subject. But I was basically advocating that when it came time for the purchase, that the responsible body of funding it was the county election commissioners. So I advocated that people reach out to their county election commissioners if they wanted, the county commission, board of county commissioners, if they wanted to advocate a position on it. And I advise them to reach out to my body, which is the county election commission, but also the board of county commissioners, who is the funding body. So it's government is we got a lot of seats here.
Sure. and I understand, and I want our viewers and our listeners to understand completely that a lot of this stuff sounds confusing, and it is some stuff that maybe you think, oh, you're just getting in the weeds. But when you have an issue, Commissioner, with the voting process, or with this, or with an employee, or what have you, or with the machines, because I don't think those machines are suited for people with disabilities who are hearing impaired or who are visually impaired. You need to know where to go, y'all. This is one of those things in the weeds where we have to educate ourselves as a voting populace and say, this does matter, because when it doesn't matter, then nobody hears us. A lot of people say, if it's not written down, it's not what?
Yeah, didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
It's definitely something that the public should be alarmed with and concerned with. But we got to police our republic, right? This is a public process. I got a buddy, John Brakey. He always says, casting the ballot is a secret process, but counting it is a public process. So we, the public, should want to know and want to authenticate who we elected to represent us, and if it was counted correctly. Because if you consider, back to your point, in the early 90s, that's the power. In many jurisdictions, local government is the largest employer. So if you are the largest employer in an area, that's a lot of power.
That's quite a bit of power.
And you then it begs the question, What would someone do to stay in power?
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about because and God knows she's elected now, and I don't know if you can speak. I don't know if this is this case has been completed or not. But if you can't, we can go somewhere else. But I know at one time, County Clerk Wanda Halbert brought forth a suit based on the fact that she believed, looking at the data, just the data that's printed off from the damn machines on election night, right? Which is what we're supposed to be able to count.
Right.
She said, if this number does not match this number, then how do you say that you have had a foolproof, fraud-proof election?
Right. Yeah, I can.
And you calling the question. Well, go please. Let's talk about that.
So that article, Wanda, she got the poll tape from me, and that's kind of making the rounds nationally now, because there are lots of projects that have been spawned based on her willingness to pursue an authenticatable result. And she's definitely a woman of tremendous courage, because no lawyer would take her case at the time. But the storyline is, you know, in 2014, she ran for criminal court clerk, and she just really, you know, there were a number of candidates that came to me that insisted that their election was stolen. But, you know, I'm the numbers guy, right?
Yeah,
I'm like, you ain't knocking on doors like that. How do you know, right? So I didn't believe him. But, you know, I'm a developer. I write code. As a consolation prize, I said, you know, I'll take a look at the software. I'll look at it.
Sure.
And I found some really bad stuff in the software. There's a lot of bad stuff in there. So I decided to conduct a study, and I just did it for a year, and I didn't tell anybody. I just looked and you know, picked apart how the software worked and found the vulnerabilities in the software. And I went to a precinct, 7701. Shout out to BlackBerry. I took a picture of the poll tape at the end of election night. It's literally a receipt. It's the closest thing to something tabulated. That's right. On election night, and they had 548 votes on it. And when it hit the central tabulator and they put out the statement of votes cast, it's called SOVC report, that same precinct only recorded 330 votes. So it lost 40% of its value at the time of tabulation. Now, by state law, statutory, the statutory authority is that we have to compare those precinct totals to the tabulated results, basically to make sure that they did count correctly. But we don't do that in Shelby County. We just have an auditing firm. I don't know what they do. I look at the report. I mean, they're a good auditing firm. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with the auditing firm, but they probably shouldn't be doing the election stuff. That's actually the commissioner's job to do. But she took that tape, that poll tape, right? That was literally all she took to court. And the judge basically said, somebody's got some explaining to do. And when that happened, she got I think summary judgment. Sure. She got to the next phase of it. And I don't know what the case of, I don't know how her case was set up, because I was a citizen at the time that I was doing this. But Bloomberg Business Week, they came down with a Pulitzer Prize journalist. It was Jordan Robertson. I don't know the name of the journalist, the Pulitzer, but he came too, and there was another guy, Michael, somebody, and they wrote about it. It was the cover story in Bloomberg Business Week, and most people don't know that happened. I knew, but Shelby County was the seat of that. That was the article. It was about Shelby County. It was about this precinct. It was about this poll tape, and now there are national groups that are basically organizing to take pictures of poll tapes to replicate the same. So this may be a real crazy question, and I know you're not an attorney, but so why does this not sound like a case for the federal courts to handle? Because to me, it has federal implications, right? And when you talk about my ability for my vote not to be counted, you're talking about something that's rooted in the Constitution. I mean, so I don't understand why. It is. This particular case wasn't because it wasn't a federal election. It was the municipal October elections. But if it happened this year, it would be, because it would be a federal election. There are statutory requirements, and I press the Election Commission a lot because I don't think they know as much as they think they do. And it's not a swipe at them. It's just that I've been doing this thing for a long time. Skin in the game on this. But the federal guidelines are that if any records are created, there's any record created in connection with the tabulation of a result in a federal election, that you have to keep all of that information for 22 months. You have to keep it for 22 months. So the federal guidelines are there. They're making sure that this information is preserved. So in the case of Wanda Halbert's race, there was a software flaw where the memory card would say that it kept total, but it didn't. And we don't know how long that's been going on, but Ohio sued, it's probably 14, 15 years ago for the same problem. And they got all new or replacement equipment. And we will vote in November.
On the same
same equipment that Ohio got. They remedied their equipment maybe 14 or 15 years.
So is this a funding issue? Is this just a funding issue, or is it one of those something that may be nefarious to say, well, we really don't want to know the true numbers?
I'm a little on the fence. I think it's I think it could be a little bit of both. I at first, I thought that this would be something that you would remedy, but you're talking about decades. Well, we're supposed to certify this stuff, right?
You do certify a race.
No, we're supposed to certify the equipment. Yeah, and I don't think since I've been on the commission, I ain't vote to certify. I vote no every time. I've never voted to certify an election. I got an issue I'm dealing with now with the paper ballots. They came in, and the totals were widely different from the machine counts. So I wanted to compare those, and I asked for the reports, and I wasn't given them. So I'll be complaining about that.
Because you're not in the majority. And I think that's what we need to make sure that our listeners and our viewers understand also, is that the makeup of the election commission is based on the General Assembly. And we'll talk a little bit about the General Assembly when we come back in a couple of minutes after a break. But this stuff, Benny, is not 30,000 foot stuff, Commissioner. It's not. I mean, it's really bread and butter. It's the difference between a person who wins an election by 20 votes or who loses an election by 100 votes. I mean, we're not talking about thousands and thousands of numbers, because I think Wanda's race was extremely close.
Yeah, it turned out to be around 1,100 votes. When
and I wonder, what does this say about the race when Dr. Harrington ran as mayor in 91, when he won, and Mayor Hackett at the time just decided we're not going to do this. I mean, but apparently he talked to some civic leaders that thought, well, if we pursue this thing, it could split our city. Our city's already split, and it's been split for years. Right. But we're trying to get this thing back together. But I wonder, was that something that has been in the background in these rooms, in these smoke-filled rooms?
Of course it was, right? It's in the American fabric. We should stop thinking people used to buy votes, right? We should stop thinking that this part is cleaner than the church is, right? This is not.
Lord, now you ain't talking about the church, Lord G. This is funky politics. But no, I get your point.
We can't assume that people who that's like saying, no, I don't want to be in charge of $900 million for another 4 years.
No,
I won't do anything wrong for that to happen.
No.
I think that's Wanda's budget now.
Wow.
I think she's in charge of like $900 million.
That's exactly right.
You can see why somebody would want that authority. Government is appointed. This is one thing I learned from working in corporate America. If they don't got the money, they got to cut.
Yeah.
If the government don't got the money, they just raise your taxes.
Oh boy.
They don't have to compete, right? They don't have to tighten their belt nearly as much as a major corporation.
Typically, we can kick the can down the road another year, and we'll address it at the next budget cycle, which in our community, in both governments, I'll give it to both of them. We've kicked some things down the can, kicked the can down the road several times. But again, I think we've got some people on the commission and on the council right now that are doing a hell of a better job than we've had in years and years and years past. I think they're doing it in a spirit of togetherness as well. But hey, I'll tell you what, we're going to take a quick break right quick, and I'll be right back with more of Funky Politics and my very special guest, Commissioner Bennie Smith of the Shelby County Election Commission. We'll be back.
Hey, I'm Howard Robertson of R&R on Sports. Have you heard our latest show?
Back with us on R&R on Sports, NBA champion, Brother David West. Welcome back to R&R on Sports. Our good friend, Brother Robert Scoop Jackson. Welcome back to R&R on Sports. My brother, the Grind City Media Senior Editor. Mike, welcome to R&R on Sports.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me, man, and I hope you guys are safe.
Get the updates by downloading the Kudzukian app in the App Store or on Google Play.
Kudzukian.
Hey, we are back with more Funky Politics here on Kudzukian Week. That's right, folks. Kudzukian Week. Got my buddy here. We've got a real good friend of Kudzukian and Funky Politics, Commissioner Bennie Smith of the Shelby County Election Commission, sitting in with us, man. He laying so much stuff down on me now. I don't know if to go to church or go home and get into bed right now, y'all, because this stuff, some of it can be depressing, right? Brother could get a misdemeanor or felony just by asking for something to access a right.
Right.
But of course that's state law. But in speaking of state law, Ben, I want to go there with you real quickly.
Okay.
Our General Assembly, a lot of people who may be my age, a little bit older, I'm 53 now, but I remember back in the day when you had both houses in the General Assembly, the Senate as well as the House of Reps were run by Democrats. You had Wilder of Fayette County, Somerville, Tennessee up there. Strong Democrat for years, maybe even a Dixiecrat, but we'll call him Democrat right now. But anyway, then of course you had Nafee out of Covington, who was a Democrat and he had always had the coon supper. I never could understand why we went to the coon supper, but we did. But anyway, that's a whole nother argument. But my point is that we were largely a Democratic state, and as the president would call a Democrat state. But then all of a sudden things changed, and I want to say. It was probably Newt Gingrich's Contract on America. It's really Contract with America, but I called it Contract on America '94. They kind of swapped things around. It began, but then I think there was another thing that happened maybe, I don't know, 10 years or so later.
Yeah. So the seismic shift, I mean, the Tennessee legislature was Democrat majority.
Sure.
Hundreds of years after Reconstruction, right? This is a southern state. We went through Reconstruction and we were a Democrat town. We were a Democrat state legislature, right? Yeah. But we changed once Obama got elected. So people looked at the national scene and saw that we were electing the first Black president. But Tennessee dealt a different hand to the legislature. So you saw around 2010. That's what, think about it. O.C. Pleasant was the chairman of the chairman. And the way the election commission works is the party that's in control of the legislature is the every administrator in the state of Tennessee were Democrats. And there was a 3-2, 3 Democrat, 2 Republican majority on the election commission. And then that changed. A lot of people cite that to the redistricting that happened in 2010. A lot of people cite
that's BS, man. No, Fayette County is still Fayette County.
It's still Fayette
Somerville,
County,
Tennessee, when Wilder was there, Nafee, Covington, it's nothing changed. That's BS.
If you look at
they need to call it what it is. It's funky politics. Call it what it is. There was a man that was put in the White House that they believe was going to change for the worst their statuses in life. And all of a sudden, these good, solid, strong Democrats now are all of a sudden they're Republicans.
Yeah, that was the rise of the Tea Party around that time, and then we went from so just for the perspective, we went from a majority Democrat legislature. I think it was Lois DeBerry. She was
right. She was Speaker Pro Tem. Right? Speaker Pro Tem, right behind Nafee.
Came to her funeral. Right.
That's
she
right.
was a monumental person in the state, and then we went from a majority Democrat to a Republican supermajority. Right. It went from majority. So the swing is larger. I'm in analytics, right? So if we would just went from majority to minority, that would be, still
but what you're saying is and folks, I want you to understand, when we talk about majority could be 10 plus 1. And I got 9, right? So I got 11, right? And you got 9. So that's just a majority. But a supermajority is I got 18. You got 2.
Some in the back.
I mean, that's a super. Yeah. So right now we're looking at a state Senate where I think we only have 5 Democrats out of 33.
Yeah,
there is no way. How in the hell can urban core cities like Nashville, Jackson, Tennessee, with the poverty that we have in our state, how do we get anything out of? How do we get anything done out of Nashville?
And that's why I kind of regard Shelby County as the redhead stepchild of the state, because we are the seat of the county and we are the largest county, but the money doesn't get routed through Shelby County. It gets routed through the capital state. and the capital state is where the legislature is. So by the time that money makes it back down to Shelby County, it's been doled out.
Yeah, it had to stop in Grundy County, had to stop in Sullivan County, Carter County. I've been in all these counties, been all those counties, folks. I'm telling you, Grundy, and let me tell you, nice folks. Really some good people we have in the state of Tennessee. Yeah. But I think some folks who are elected across our state, and I mean, great people in Tennessee. But we've got some growing to do in terms of our politics, because all things that looks different than you is not bad.
Yeah, I think it's so hyper partisan now. Like I go to this conference, TACIO, Tennessee Association of County Election Officials, and the Republicans are some of the nicest people.
Sure.
When you go east, east,
I've been there,
and I had to ask myself, since it's funky politics, why is it so different when you get back here? Well, if you go east, they have a majority.
Sure.
So they can be.
They can be like they are
as cordial, but when you got a jockey for power or you got a jockey for a position, then you see more gamesmanship. So that's why I think West Tennessee we see a rougher slate of Republicans.
Well, let me ask you this question.
We got good Republicans here, but
Mark. I mean, a bunch of guys I like. Mark White. I mean, Mark's a great guy. I think he's in a race right now. There's a few others out there that are decent folks. But will Tennessee ever go back to a state that looks like what you have in the state in terms of
more balance?
Yeah, that's the term I'm looking for. Balance.
More balance.
Will it be more balance?
I think it can. I think I'll probably be one of the catalysts to make it happen too.
Whoa, I like to hear that.
That legislature changes every 2 years.
Yeah.
So if the public doesn't like what they see, I'll just go ahead on before we move. I applaud all of our Democratic legislatures. They really have to fight really hard. London Lamar has been like in the battle of her life.
Her and Ramesh, they're beasts.
They've been in the battle of their lives. Joe Towns has been there. Even DeBerry, who was ousted from his seat.
Not been ousted yet. Now I will say this:
he's running
as a Democrat. I think the state party. What they call you?
The little gamesmanship on.
Call you not defunded, bonafide.
Yeah,
well, it's like, man, what
they did him?
You
dirty.
Black man. I'm a de-bonafide you, man.
They did him a little dirty.
Yeah.
But those people to fight in the climate that they're in.
Yeah.
Consider Barbara Cooper. Barbara Cooper is my state legislator. I don't care what nobody says. She's my state legislator.
I'm my girl. I've been around a long time, man.
Yeah. So
still driving up there.
They were fighting to get the Bedford Forest bus down.
The bus out of the state house.
And it's just been it's too partisan when you look at it that way. And I would just say to the people, get a Democrat majority and then vote to move it.
Wow, we got.
You won't have to ask them to move it. Just get a majority and vote to move it.
I used to play Republican politics back in the day, and we said we're looking for people that are right-thinking Republicans or right-thinking Democrats. We can put them all together. And I think what the Democrats have to do is, you don't have to go right, but you can be center-left and still represent a vast majority of communities in Tennessee and get everything that those communities need. But I don't think that being super progressive is going to do anything in Covington, Tennessee.
It ain't going to do
nothing in Dyersburg.
Right.
I think those days are probably over. Yeah. Unless you get a lot of these younger folks moving into our rural communities. And I think that's what you have now. So you have a lot of folks who are not as old as I am that are moving to some rural communities, but not enough to be able to change the makeup of the.
And they need to move with the right balance. If you look at the way I budget my money, you'll call me a Republican, but not the Republican Party of now. The Republican principles of old. Right.
So
balancing
I call you a real conservative then is what I'm saying.
I'm a conservative when it comes to my money. I ain't trying to spend. I need something. My dad said keep some on the hot water heater.
Wow, Lord. Let's speak. That's funky politics, y'all. Again, his daddy said keep some money on the under on the hot water on the hot water heater. I ain't heard that before. I'm old as the dirt. But anyway, let's talk about some national stuff. I don't want to be. I love Tennessee. We're not beating up on Tennessee. It's a great place to live. It's one of the most picturesque states in the world. Let me tell you something. If you guys are anywhere near our state, come through Tennessee. You'll get a smiling face somewhere, and they'll say, "Hey, how y'all? Y'all come on and stay a while with us, okay?" Right. Let's handicap some of these races, man. I'm interested in knowing what you think, and I know you're nothing but analytic, but I want you to even tell me in my limited ability. Arizona, McSally and Kelly out there, Captain Kelly. The polls, and I want to make sure that people understand polls and yard signs, y'all. They don't vote.
They don't vote. Sorry.
They don't vote.
Sorry.
Now they make you look good.
Yeah.
The polls and the signs make you look extremely good.
Right.
But unfortunately, they don't cast a ballot.
Yeah,
What do you think about Arizona?
I like Kelly.
Okay.
There is some integrity that's happening in Arizona, and I'm loosely and closely connected to it. They're preserving ballot images down there, so they're moving more towards to authenticate the count. So with them being so sure of how they want to make sure that they got the election right, I'm not as fearful of any type of gamesmanship either way. I mean, it could go either way. Sure. But I actually think I think he may do well there.
He's raised a lot of money. He's raised a lot more money than Senator McSally has, and
he may do well.
I'm interested in seeing if money will play. And understand, some money does not always win.
No.
Hey, look, I had a bunch of money. I was dating this girl, and she didn't want me. She went and dated a guy that had nothing.
Right. That's right.
But I see both of them. I'm going to leave that alone. This funky politics. Anyway, I want to go to Kentucky.
Okay.
People do not believe that the Senate Majority Leader can be beat. Ask Tom Daschle. Am I right? Mm-hmm. He will tell you can be beat on any given day. Any team, any person can be beat. He's got Lucy McGrath. I mean, not Lucy, but McGrath down there in Kentucky. Former lieutenant colonel with the military, and now she is put on a major race. She's raised well over $30+ million.
Yeah, and she was about to get a number handed to her by the other guy.
Exactly. Was it Booker? Charles Booker?
Yeah,
Charles Booker.
Charles Booker.
And so let's handicap that race. Do you think in the end that there's a possibility that Colonel McGrath can even squeak out a win?
I think she can squeak out. I think she can squeak out one. I don't think that she will.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think she can squeak it out. But
let's go to Mississippi. People don't understand. I want to make sure our listeners and our viewers know this. The fine state of Mississippi is what they call it. Ross Barnett would call you in Mississippi now. So you're in Mississippi. In the fine state of Mississippi, they have the largest number of African Americans living in any state in this country, 37%. You say, well, it's only 8 million people in the state of 7 million people in the state. That's correct. But they have the largest number of black folk in any one state. But they can only have one elected representative, Bennie Thompson, out of the Delta.
Mm-hmm.
What is the problem in the state of Mississippi? You got SB down there against Cindy Smith. Yeah. What's the issue?
I like SB. He's got the name ID. He's run more than once. Yeah. He's a really good candidate. I don't give him the edge. Yeah. But I want to be hairline with him. The reason I said it is because Mississippi, when it comes to voter registration, they have the largest African American population, but you can't see it anywhere.
Wow.
If you try to ask for that and quantify what that looks like in like the registration files, you won't get it. They don't give that information out.
So it's very difficult to even mount a sizable campaign that I can target my African American voters if I'm a Mike Espy, if I'm a Jim Hood who just lost the race for governor to Tate Reeves down there.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of saw that coming a little bit. I think Jim went center right. He tried to go center right, and I don't think he kept those loyal Democrats that would have been with him. So
he hurt himself.
Yeah, I think he hurt himself with some independents as well too.
I think he hurt himself.
All right, Mississippi. So you're gonna call Mississippi? You're gonna stay out of that one?
I'm go.
It's funky politics now, Doc. This is on record.
I think SB loses.
Okay.
But I really again, like with Kentucky too. Like I think if all these people marching would just march on into the polls, these would be much easier to call.
Sure.
It's whether or not they are going to keep occupying, for the next 2 months.
Let me ask you this:
what I would like to see.
What is it that we can do? Does even the death of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg not say to my folks, are those people who the African who just say, hey, look, I got issues with the Biden Harris team. She's not black enough. He's trying to be too black. All of these negative things. Are there enough young people in our country who can make the difference?
Absolutely.
Let me ask you this. Are there enough people in the country, young people, that will make the difference?
No.
Wow.
There are enough
Wow.
people. I study this. Like
I know you do. That's why I'm asking you on the record. Hell,
like,
I'm not crazy. I know what I'm doing here.
During the middle of the protests, right? Black Lives Matter protests. Shelby County had some very good rallies. But between the ages of 18 to 40, I think we made less than 15% of the August election. So they got it. They got it, man. They got it. They do have it.
But even that 15%, that was up though, right?
No, it was average.
Oh God.
Yeah, it was average.
We gotta do better.
Yeah, it was average. But they definitely look, if they get ahead of steam, it's over with.
I don't know if this is. I thought at first George Floyd was, and I think still the killing of George Floyd, the killing of Breonna Taylor, the Ahmaud Arbery piece has really gone very quiet lately.
Yeah,
the Rashad Brooks piece in Atlanta has gone really quiet lately.
The guy who just got shot in the back.
The kid up there. I'll talk on it up here, and so I think that if in fact you look at how the wind is blowing,
man, it's blowing. Like I've seen like I cried, man. Like I cried like a baby. I saw this these people protesting in Nashville, and they was like Black Lives Matter, and they was like as far as your eye could see, and I was like, this is different, right? I'm a black kid who grew up watching Eyes on the Prize, right? So I got lots of memories of seeing the police dogs in the water hose. I'm not in the group. I'm a lot different from the group in my age group. And that was very different. Again, it's when it matters the most is when you're deciding who your elected officials are.
So it's boots on the ground, but it's really boots in the polls.
Yeah. And that's where I say SB, man, like he been on the ground. He been down there. So
SB could surprise.
Yeah, he may be mapping it. He may be mapping out the strategy. I spoke to the legislature down there at a conference, and I was showing them the vulnerabilities in their voting machines. But he was down there at the end.
Let's go to Colorado real quickly.
Right.
You got Hickenlooper and you got Gardner. Cory Gardner is the current senator out of Republican senator out of Colorado. The polls that I've seen, 538, the Siena, Marist, NBC, they all say, and again, polls don't vote.
Yeah.
But I want you to call it.
I think Hickenlooper can do it.
All right.
Now here's why, right? Again, it's the underbelly of the beast. Denver and Colorado has been a leading election security people. Like they want to get it right.
Oh, wow.
If you can vote for marijuana, and like Colorado was the one that made it legal, right? And they could authenticate that count, right? They make it easy to vote. You can drive, you can get curbside pickup, you can drop off your ballot. Like all the stuff that we got, they don't have any of that. You can drop off your ballot. You can track at every level where it is. They have kiosks where you can drop it off.
Like a FedEx package.
Yeah, you can like curbs like Wendy's. Like you can drive up and get your ballot. They are really the pioneers for letting the public own the process. And they got an amazing website. So I do think if the tide is changing for that, again, like the mood can be there, but you still had the gamesmanship. Like my world begins on election night.
Yeah.
That's when everybody else is in.
Yeah.
Like they hear that one number and they done. And I'm like, no, we go.
It's a whole real quickly, North Carolina, you got Tillis and Cunningham. The numbers are not looking good for Tillis. Cunningham has raised when I tell you, man, every one of these states, other than Mississippi, every one of these candidates that are taking on sitting Republicans have raised millions and millions. SB has not raised the 30 million that all these other candidates have, and that's kind of surprising a little bit, but it's not surprising because he was once a part of that group, that new leash oblige that served in DC, and I'm surprised he couldn't at least probably raise 20 million. But then again, they're looking at probably Mississippi being Mississippi. I don't know. But North Carolina, Tillis and Cunningham, what do you think? Give me a call.
Don't know.
Whoa.
Don't know.
Whoa. All right.
Don't know on that one.
Man. Well, I tell you, but I can't get you to do right. This funky politics. I'm gonna get this guy before we get out of here. Yeah. Hey, real quick, let's shift back to the Senate. The Senate says, Senate Majority Leader McConnell said that he will put forth a nominee that the president forwards to the Senate. Does this move by the Senate, Does this hurt the mix? Well, we're not going to leave mix out. Let's Collins out of Maine, Tillis out of North Carolina, Gardner out of Colorado. Does this hurt them?
I do think it looks ugly, but I don't think it hurts them. And here's the reason why. Like politics, man. Like I remember telling some of my Republican friends when Trump was coming down the elevator, I was like, "There go your winner."
Whoa.
And he's like, "Why, man? What are you crazy?"
Yeah.
What's the guy? Lion Ted Cruz can that's what Trump is good at. Trump is good at that.
Yeah,
so
put a name on
Ted
you.
Cruz was he can recite the Constitution by heart, and I was like, ain't nobody gonna ask him to do it. I said, everybody thinking this guy is running to be president. He's not. He's running to win.
Yeah.
And you see, Doug Collins made them. First of all, the notorious RBG. Keep your name off her. Like, keep your name off her.
Yeah.
She should be celebrated for the next month,
Yeah.
right? She should be celebrated for the next month.
Yeah.
There should be no appointment. Now they can be in after the election because they got till January 1st
Sure they do.
to go back to partisan gamesmanship. But nobody should be speaking like, even Trump, when they asked him, he was like, I didn't know that. He was just leaving a rally. He was
I thought what he said was appropriate.
was
I thought
perfect.
for a president, I have never seen him do that.
Yeah.
But he showed me something on.
Now he
on
can
the
go
other
and
day.
say that one was perfect.
Now then he turns around and says, "Well, I think that the Senate has the right to do it."
Yeah, he
Come
gonna
on,
blow it up.
you
He
can't
gonna find a way
away.
to blow it up. But
Yeah.
Collins said.
You mean you talking about Doug Jones?
Doug Collins.
Collins.
He said, "R.I.P. to the 30 million children who have been aborted because Ruth Bader Ginsburg." He trending right now. Because Ruth Bader Ginsburg was on the court. I'm like, first of all, right? I got 3 daughters. I got a son.
Yeah.
Bruh, don't be talking about no woman. Right. First of all, like, what is this? Is this a new low for mansplaining? This guy is literally talking about a woman who has been the champion for women. But the political ramification is he is completely emboldened in an election year. He is up for re-election right now. And I think that red meat is what they've learned to serve. And the decorum has lost its place in the political process. That's where we set ourselves aside to say, look, we can disagree, but we still have decorum. He is devoid of decorum when you do something like that. The guy trending right now, like
30 million, huh?
Like on some slum and like, yeah.
You know what? And shout out to President Trump. And I normally call him 45 on this show. The initial response from him is he said didn't hear. First of all, you were giving a speech in Minnesota, and that's cool. But for your staff not to be able to tell you this,
that's
before you walk off the stage, literally. Yeah. I mean, I have a problem.
Bush was reading a book, and they let him.
Yeah, and they walked up to him. McEnany, I have a problem with you, madam. You're his PR person. Well, you're our person, really, is hired by the president. But you're supposed to give it to us unfiltered and give us the truth. But I have an issue with that.
But I wouldn't be surprised if he knew. And then use it as a good moment, because he a lot more charismatic than people think he is.
He's a lot smart. This guy, when you talk about the art of the deal, he's a lot smarter.
Yeah, he's a lot smarter than people.
This is a man who says he's a billionaire and has never proved it.
You don't have to,
just because he's got to play, right? Let's
solid gold toilet.
Couple more handicaps before we get out of here, man. Let's handicap this presidential race. Who wins Florida?
Man, because of who counts the vote there, I'm going Trump.
Who wins Ohio?
There's a Republican governor
there. That's right.
Man, it's basically wherever the Republican is who count the votes.
Whoa.
Right? It's who count them.
Whoa.
I said he was going to win Michigan. People didn't believe it. I was like, it's a Republican governor there.
So you're telling me Florida and Ohio, because they got Republican governors and that's who counts the vote, they're going to go Trump. Virginia, then they got a Democrat governor. So
Michigan just switched, didn't it? Right. So Michigan may be back safe.
Yeah.
I say have split them down.
Wow.
The middle. And the reason why, man, I'm telling you, like LeBron James, he's got this more than a vote, right? Yeah. And everybody knows he's got a storied past with Dan Gilbert, right?
That's right.
And he's probably going to go after Ohio hard, but Dan Gilbert counted the ballots in Michigan.
Wow.
He got a company.
Wow.
That's going to count the absentee ballots, and he's been giving Trump millions of dollars.
Whoa. And speaking of the NBA, before you get out of here, I know you wanted to say something about the possibility of us absolutely being able to go ahead and use the
FedEx Forum.
Go ahead. Let's talk about
I'm
that.
definitely advocating for the FedEx Forum to be used as a site There was Fairfax, Virginia. They had lines wrapped around the building yesterday for the first day of early voting. And I just think that with us being a large African-American city who is the most susceptible to COVID, that they should be allowed to vote in comfort. You can enforce social distancing, you can put chairs, and our meeting is this upcoming Tuesday, and I'm going to be fighting for it then.
Hey, fight on, brother. Yeah. Hey, Bennie Smith, folks, right here. Shelby, commissioner with the Shelby County Election Commission, owner, CEO, but look, principal, smart soft. So let me tell you, need any IT analytics. This guy, data nut, no doubt about it. Brother, thanks for coming back. I've got to get you back because number one, as the election process goes forward, as we get closer to November 3rd, and as a matter of fact, I'd like to go ahead and book you right now if somebody else ain't got you.
All the dates. Yeah, we need to talk about all the dates and tell the public what to look out for.
Exactly. Yeah. And let's make sure that they're very smart to know that early. We don't talk about early voting right now, but we want to talk about when the last day it is to register in Shelby County.
October the 5th.
October the 5th is the last day you can get your registration in to be able to vote on November 3rd. Correct, sir?
That's right. That's right.
All right,
they
y'all.
can submit questions and we'll answer more.
And you got the one and only here, Commissioner Bennie Smith. Brother Bennie, thank you, man. All right. Hey, look, I'll be right back with some closing thoughts right here on Funky Politics. Funky Politics. Hey, Funky Politics fan, it is DC. What a week, what a month, what a year. 2020, y'all. Right, the information we give you here is always entertaining and it's always educational. And look, let me tell you something. We got more great shows coming your way. That's the weirdest stuff I've ever seen in my life. I don't even understand how do you do that. So make sure you stay tuned for more Funky Politics. Funky Politics, powered by the Kudzukian Network. That's right, folks. We're funky sometime. We funky your time. We funky all the time up in here. So make sure you stay tuned for more Funky Politics.
Check out all your Kudzukian favorites now. Download the Kudzukian app, available on Android and iOS.
Hey, we are back, folks. Let me tell you, gotta get out of here, but you cannot be serious about talking about election security, election fraud, or voting, period. I'm going to call it like it is in the state of Tennessee, Shelby County, Memphis, or these United States of America without talking to Commissioner Bennie Smith. This brother is an election security, election knowledge king, right? He knows it all. I don't care. He knows where every Kentucky Fried Chicken is, every McDonald's is. No, I'm just joking. Anyway, the brother knows his stuff, but we have to make sure we show up. There makes no sense if you're going to get out there and protest that you get out there and you protest, but you don't go in the polling booth and protest again. That's where it's going to be heard, folks. That's where it's going to be heard. Breonna Taylor can't do it. Ahmaud Arbery can't do it anymore. George Floyd can't do it. They need us to help speak for them. Let's speak for those folks who have lost. Emmett Till cannot do it. Let's do it for them. And when we do it for them, we'll feel a lot better about exercising our complete right to vote as an American, right? So I'll tell you what, before I get out of here, make sure you stick around with us for the rest of Kudzukian week. I'm going to be here all week long, kicking it with my folks, man. I'm going to be catching me some 3BC. I'm going to be hanging out with the folks over at R&R on Sports. I'm going to do it all week long, sell or fail. But I'll tell you what, I'll see you again next time right here on Funky Politics. I'm out of here.